Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putri Wulandari, and this is my midterm project of cross-cultural understanding for the part 1, and this is the topic number 1, that is intercultural communication. What is intercultural communication? Intercultural communication means the exchange of ideas, messages, and information between people from different cultural backgrounds. It is not just about speaking different languages, but also about understanding and respecting each other's beliefs, values, and traditions. In today's globalized society, effective intercultural communication helps people from different countries live, work, and learn together peacefully. Intercultural communication is about more than just using the same language. It's about understanding the mindset and customs of others. When people from different cultures communicate, their backgrounds influence how they speak, behave, and interpret messages. That's why learning how to communicate across cultures is a key skill for success today. Importance of intercultural communication. Intercultural communication is important because it first is helps people avoid misunderstandings caused by cultural differences. The second is builds trust, teamwork, and cooperation among people from diverse backgrounds. The third is strengthens international relationship in education, business, and diplomacy. The fourth is encourages tolerance, respect, and global friendship. Understanding intercultural communications helps us work together more effectively. For example, when students from different countries join a project, knowing how to speak and behave respectfully makes teamwork smoother. But in business, it can even decide whether a deal succeeds or fails. Common challenge. When people from different cultures interact, several problems can occur. The first is language barriers. Words, accents, or slang can cause confusion. The second is stereotypes. People may unfairly judge others based on limited experience. The third is different communication styles. Some cultures are direct, others are more indirect or polite. The fourth is nonverbal misinterpretation. Gestures or eye contact may have different meanings. We all know that communication can be tricky, even more so between cultures. For example, in some countries, maintaining eye contact shows confidence, but in others, it can seem disrespectful. To communicate well, we need to be aware of these cultural differences. Real life example, KFC in China. When KFC first entered the Chinese market, their slogan, "Finger looking good," was translated into Chinese as "Eat your fingers off." This translation sounded strange and even funny to Chinese customers. KFC quickly realized the mistake and changed the translation into something more natural. This example shows how a small misunderstanding in language can have a big cultural impact. This real example from KFC teaches us that words have different meanings in different cultures. Even though the slogan was popular in America, it didn't work in China because of the language and cultural gap. It's a reminder that successful communication requires more than just translation. It needs cultural understanding too. How to communicate effectively across cultures. To become more effective intercultural communicator, the first is learn about other people's cultures and customs. The second is listen carefully and show empathy. The third is avoid stereotypes and quick judgments. The fourth is be polite and open-minded in every conversation. To communicate effectively across cultures, we must keep an open mind and a respectful attitude. Ask questions politely if something is unclear, and remember, the goal is not to change someone's culture, but to understand it. Conclusion. Intercultural communication helps people connect, respect differences, and live in harmony. In our global society, we meet people from various backgrounds in school, at work, and online. When we understand each other's cultures, we can build bridges instead of walls. In conclusion, intercultural communication is not just about speaking, it's about connecting with people at a deeper level. If we respect differences and communicate with understanding, we can make our world more peaceful and united. Thank you. The next is for the topic number.
And this is for the topic number 2, the relationship between language and culture. This topic explains how language and culture influence each other and why understanding both is important for good communication. How language and culture are connected. Language and culture are deeply connected. Language expresses the beliefs, tradition, and values of a community. Culture, on the other hand, shapes how people use language, how they greet others, show respect, or express emotions. In short, language and culture cannot be separated. Language and culture are like two sides of the same coin. The words we use and the way we speak reflect who we are as a culture. That's why learning a language also means learning how people in the culture think and behave. Examples of language reflecting culture. Here are some examples showing how culture reflects cultural value. Number 1, in Indonesia, people say, bisa tolong, blah blah blah. Or in English, can you please help me? To show politeness and humility. Number 2, in Japan, the use of keigo or formal expressions shows respect for elders and authority. Number 3 is in the US, people use first names easily, showing equality and friendliness. Number 4, in Arab countries, Inshallah or God willing reflect faith and belief in destiny. Every language expresses its cultural differently. In Indonesia, politeness is very important, so people speak gently. In the US, people are most informal because they value equality. In Japan, the language changes depending on social status, showing how culture shapes language use. How culture shapes communication. Culture affects the way people communicate. Collectivist cultures, like Indonesia or Japan, prefer indirect and polite speech to keep harmony. And individualist cultures, like the US or Australia, use more direct and open language to express opinion. Even silence can have meaning. In some Asian cultures, silence shows respect or careful thought, while in Western cultures, it may feel uncomfortable. The way we talk and listen depends on our culture. Some people are very direct when they disagree, while others use polite words to avoid conflict. Even silence can be part of communication. It's not just about words, but also about shared understanding. When culture and language clash, misunderstanding can happen when people don't understand the cultural meaning behind words. Examples. Indonesia often say maybe later as a polite no, but foreigners may think it means yes. A Western person might say, call me John, but an Asian person might still say Mr. John to show respect. Such differences can cause confusion or even offense if people are unaware of cultural context. These examples show how easily cultural misunderstanding can happen. Something polite in one culture might seem rude or confusing in another. That's why we should always consider both language and culture when communicating. Why understanding both matters. Knowing the connection between language and culture helps us first avoid miscommunication and conflict. The second, learn new languages more effectively. The third is respect and appreciate cultural diversity. The fourth is communicate more confidently in international situations. When we learn both language and culture, we can express ourselves more clearly and understand others more deeply. It helps us become more confident, respectful, and cultural aware communicators. Conclusion. Language and culture depends on each other. Language carries a culture's identity, beliefs, and traditions. To truly communicate, we must learn not only the words but also the culture behind them. By doing so, we connect more meaningfully with people around the world. To conclude, language is more than grammar or vocabulary. It's the mirror of the culture. When we understand how people think and what they value, our communication becomes more genuine and respectful. That's what makes language and culture so powerful together. Thank you. That's all from me for the part 1. The next is part 2 about study case. Thank you. This is the part 2 case study and analysis project. This is for the case study number 1. That is cultural barriers. And this is the scenario. And this is the question number 1. Identify and analyze the main cultural barriers and the situation. Use Hofstede's or Hall's cultural dimensions as supporting theory. The answer is the main cultural barriers in the situation come from differences in communication style, individualism versus collectivism, and power distance. According to Hofstede's theory, Germany has low power distance and high individualism, meaning that open discussion and direct feedback are expected. In contrast, Indonesia and Japan have higher power distance and stronger collectivist values. According to Hall's theory, Germany is a low-context culture that communicates clearly and directly, while Japan and Indonesia are high-context cultures, relying on tone, silence, and indirect messages. These differences cause misunderstanding. What seems honest to be cool to one culture can feel rude to another. These theories help us understand why the team struggles. German value efficiency and open feedback. Indonesia and Japanese prefer politeness and subtlety. Because of these differences, direct comments from the manager might sound harsh to others, while silence and politeness might be misread as agreement. And this is the question number 2. Provide data or evidence. The answer is based on Hofstede's Insight 2024, Individualism Germany, Japan, and Indonesia. Germany is highly individualistic, while Indonesia is very collectivist. And the second is power distance. Indonesia, Japan, and Germany. Indonesia and Japan value hierarchy, while Germany encourages equality. This data proves that these three countries have different cultural expectations and communication habits, especially when it comes to expressing opinions and disagreeing in meetings. The numbers show big gaps in values. Germany tends to speak up because equality is natural to them, but Indonesia and Japanese prefer to wait or use polite words. These contrasts explain why the team quickly experiences frustration and confusion. Explain how cultural misunderstanding. This is the question number 3. Explain how cultural misunderstanding affect teamwork and decision making. The answer is cultural misunderstanding affects teamwork in several ways. When the Japanese and Indonesian members stay quiet, the German manager assumes they agree, even though they may not. This leads to poor decisions, unfinished tasks, and lack of trust. Team members start to feel uncomfortable and stop participating actively in discussions. Over time, cooperation decreases, communication becomes unclear, and overall team performance suffers. Because people interpret silence differently, the team loses coordination. The Germans may think everything is fine, while others are quietly unhappy. This shows that cultural misunderstanding can weaken teamwork, delay projects, and reduce motivation. And this is the question number 4. Suggest three practical strategies the team could use to overcome these barriers and improve intercultural collaboration? The answer, number one, is cultural awareness training. Provide workshops where each member learns about the other's communication norms and values. Number two is use a facilitator. Assign a neutral moderator to guide meetings, ensuring all voices are heard. Number three is combine communication styles. Use written summaries for clarity and polite language during discussions. These strategies encourage respect, understanding, and collaboration across cultures. To fix this, the company can invest in intercultural training, assign a facilitator, and balance direct and indirect communication styles. This helps create a working environment where everyone feels understood and valued. The next is case study number 2, cross-cultural communication for business. And this is the scenario. Question number 1. Analyze the cross-cultural communication failure that occurred in this case. The answer is the main communication failures comes from not adapting the message to fit the cultural expectation of the European market. Indonesian culture values togetherness and emotional warmth, while European cultures value individual expression, professionalism, and clarity. The company used a collectivist and emotional approach in a market that prefers rational and product-focused information. Tropical craft assumed that the same family-centered message would work everywhere, but European consumers saw the ads as unprofessional. This shows the danger of ignoring cultural differences in global marketing. This is the question number 2. Use marketing or communication data to support your answer. The answer is, according to Nielsen Global 2022, whereas Asian audience prefer emotion-based advertising, the second is European audience prefer product-based, fact-driven advertising. Half-Stitch Individualism Index, Indonesia versus Europe. This shows that emotional appeals work better in collectivist Asian societies, while logical, factual ads are more effective in individualist European society. This data clearly supports the cultural mismatch. Europeans value independence and personal decision-making, so they want detailed information about the product's quality, design, and usefulness, not emotional stories. This is the question number 3. Explain how cultural values influence the campaign effectiveness. The answer is, in collectivist and high-contact cultures like Indonesia, advertisement often highlights relationships, shared happiness, and emotional storytelling. In contrast, European cultures are individualist and low context, meaning that they prefer clear, factual, and logical advertising messages. The emotional and symbolic style used by tropical craft was misunderstood as too sentimental, reducing the campaign credibility. In simple words, Indonesia's high context and collectivist values focus on emotion and community. Europe's low context and individualist culture wants straightforward product details. Because of that, the message didn't connect emotionally or logically with the target audience. This is the question number 4. Propose a revised marketing strategy that would be more culturally appropriate and appealing to European consumer. The answer is to appeal to European consumers. Tropical craft should, number 1, highlight craftsmanship, durability, and modern design rather than emotional stories. Number 2, use clean, minimalist visuals and clear product descriptions to convey professionalism. Number 3, collaborate with local designers or influencers to create culturally relevant campaigns. This new approach will align with European expectations while maintaining the company's Indonesian identity. The company needs to shift its message from emotion to evidence. Focus on what makes the furniture strong, elegant, and valuable. Collaborating with European designers can also help the brand look more local and credible. Next is case study number 3. Nonverbal communications. And here are the scenario. Here's the scenario. This is the questions number 1. Identify the nonverbal communication issues that cause misunderstanding in these situations. The answer is, the misunderstanding happened because the American representative's gestures sent unintended messages, such as checking the watch suggested impatience, standing far away showed coldness, limited eye contact suggests lack of interest. In Arab culture, these nonverbal signals are seen as disrespectful during important discussions. What seems like normal behavior to one person can be insulting to another. The Americans simply wanted to stay on schedule, but the Arab client saw it as a lack of respect. This is the question number 2. Present data or research findings. The answer, the first Edward Hall, 1976. Americans monochronic value punctuality. Time is money. Arabs polychronic value relationships over strict timing. The second is personal space. Americans prefer about 1 to 1.5 meters, and Arabs are more comfortable with about 0.6 meters. Different time orientation and spatial norms can easily cause misjudgments during business meetings. These research findings show that cultural differences in how we use time and space are real. Americans focus on efficiency, but Arabs focus on relationships. The difference in expectation can lead to wrong assumption. This is the questions number 3.
explain how nonverbal signals differ across cultures and how they influence trust and relationship building in business. The answer is nonverbal communication, such as gestures, eye contact, posture, and physical distance, can have opposite meanings in different cultures. When people misread this signal, it leads to misunderstanding, emotional distance, and loss of trust. In business, trust is essential, and it is built not only through words but also through respectful nonverbal behavior. Sometimes we think communication is only about what we say, but in reality, our body language speaks louder. When people misinterpret gestures, even good intentions can appear rude or dishonest. That's why nonverbal awareness is essential for global professionals. For global professionals. This is the last. Question number 4. Recommend communication strategies to prevent similar issues in future cross-cultural meetings. The answer is to avoid nonverbal misunderstandings in cross-cultural business situations. Professionals should the first is learn about the host country's etiquette before meetings. The second is spend time building rapport before discussing business. The third is use positive, open body language such as nodding, smiling, and maintaining calm gestures. By showing cultural sensitivity, both sides can establish mutual trust and respect. The simple steps, learning, listening, and showing respect, can prevent conflicts. A few small changes in behavior can make a big difference in building international relationships. That's all from me. Sorry for the delay connections and for the mistakes.